Hello, this is Jennifer with Women Loving Jesus, and today we are on Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for righteousness. What this is telling us is that one of the things God would like us to do is to leave something behind to children and grandchildren. The second part of this verse is the people who take and use their money in a way that God doesn't want to, and is saying that He can take that money away and give it to the hands of someone or something that can be useful. The Bible talks a lot about money, and there are ways that God feels to manage money is better than the world's way of managing money. And one of those is not to owe man anything, so not to be in debt or working toward not having debt. So, with that, I thought there's a couple of points that I wanted to make about finances that I just see a lot and that God has worked in my heart. Is number one is recognizing that there's a lot of emotions behind money that can come from our family or come from ourselves or come from our history. Some of those emotions that you may see is greed. There can be emotions of obsessing about it. There can be emotions of even feeling inferior, almost like we can't have money. We're not worthy of having stability with our finances. There can be emotions of controlling other people with money. There can be pride with money. We are better than other people because of the income that we have. There can be emotions um, of stress. I need money in order to cope with life. There can be pressures to have a certain amount of money. So, all these things can look very different depending on what you were taught and how you were taught to manage things. One thing I'm seeing is parents really, they may leave money for, or they may not leave money for their children or grandchildren, but there's this also idea of how to deal with finances in a godly way and not a worldly way. And with some of that is dealing with these emotions, right? There can be a dealing with idea of greed, dealing with mismanagement, understanding what a need and a want is. I have mentioned this before, but really the only needs we have is food, water, shelter, and clothing. And those needs can be met with very basic minimum requirements. Uh, there's, we don't have to have $1 million budget on clothing to survive. We can have a very small budget for clothing and survive. And understanding where God wants you to spend your money, how to spend your money with where you are at right now. The other point that I want to make is just an encouragement to some of you. I've You may have prayed. God is really showing you some things about your own finances and how to deal with them. And He's asking you to kind of turn things around. That can be a very slow process, especially if you've built up tons of credit card debt, especially if you've gotten in the habit of certain spending habits that just aren't good, that God wants you to change. Well, guess what? If you just slowly are in obedience every day, walking the path that God has for you with your finances, you will get out of it and you will start reaping some of the rewards of being obedient day in and day out. And that could take years, just to be honest with you. It has taken people 2 years, which can seem like amazing, 5 years, whatever it may be, to get themselves unraveled from a bunch of decisions that maybe financially wasn't what God intended. But if you put in the work, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So I pray that the Spirit with the word today has encouraged you, and I thank you for listening.